Hello, everyone, and welcome to Orca Scan. I'm Antonio, a customer success manager, and today I'm excited to show you about our vehicle tracking system that you can set up with our software. We will scan barcodes that are already on your asset. So if you already have barcodes, that's great. And if you don't, you can create some with our software. These barcodes that we create are going to be used for internal purposes only. So you're not actually creating VIN numbers or anything of that sort. VIN numbers are created by the auto manufacturer. So let's get started. The first thing you'll do is download the Orca Scan mobile app on your scanning device, whether it's an iPhone, an Android, or maybe an industrial scanner. Just visit the App Store, download the app, and then open up your computer and visit orcascan.com and log in. And the reason why we want to be on the web app is because it's much easier to set up your workflow that way versus doing it on a smaller device like the phone. Once you're signed in, this is the screen you'll see if you've just created an account. So go ahead and name your sheet anything that you'd like and select the vehicle's template. The template is fully customizable, by the way, so if you've already selected another template, that's perfectly fine. I'll close the previews here on the left and right hand side, and then I'll open the mobile app so you can see how the web app and the mobile app interact with each other. So on the web app, left-hand side, you can see that we have columns and rows. That's how your data is organized. Very similar to Excel or Google Sheets. So it's a familiar platform in that it's a spreadsheet-like feel. And the columns on the web app are reflected as fields on the mobile app. So for example, on the web, you've got your color, make, and model columns. And then on the mobile app, you can see those listed as fields that the user interacts with. And then once they fill in those fields, tap Save and Close, that information is automatically updated to your sheet. So the idea here is that you want to add columns on the web app that are useful for your particular use case. So if you're doing maintenance, for example, you would add a column named oil change last done on, and then the data type, which is the functionality of the field, you can select as date, for example, so that you can have a calendar icon that you interact with. So for example, now that I've added that, you can see that on the mobile app. So if I did an oil change today, I would tap on that calendar icon, and then today's date would auto-populate, or you can interact with the calendar menu if you wanted to. But regardless of what industry you're in, you can add a field for pretty much anything. So if I right-click this and edit it, you can see that there are other data types like drop-down list, photo, signatures, things of that sort. So feel free to take a look. And then down here, you'll see some toggles, and then that dictates the field. It tells the field how to behave. So for example, you could hide it in the mobile app, maybe if it's just a column that the admins should see and not the person scanning. So you can hide it in that case. You can require it if you don't want the user to accidentally leave the field open or the question and answered, whatever it is that your field is needing to accomplish. So do read right underneath each title. Do read what it says underneath. It's pretty straightforward, but the gist of it is that you'll name your column, select the data type, and then turn some of these toggles on if applicable. So you could have a column like this, for example, oil change last done on. You'll scan a barcode, you'll see the field. You could also have a photo field. So if I click add column, I can name this photo, and then the data type would be photo. However, I want to show this field conditionally. So the column name is going to be photo of damage, and I'm going to hide it. And I only want that field, photo of damage, to show whenever the condition here is set to broken. And the way I can do that is by using triggers. Triggers are if this, then that statements. So if I click this button here, it opens up the triggers menu, and then I can select add. And then I can say if the condition equals broken, which is a list option in that drop-down menu, then show photo of damage. And then you could require it as well. So I'm going to save that and then add another trigger that says something very similar. So if the condition equals broken, except in this case, I'm going to say set required. So the user is forced to take a picture. Then set required, the photo of damage field. You can also do other things like notify someone via email. In case a supervisor needed to be notified that something's damaged, just select notify me and then select email. Type in their email like so. If you need to type in multiple email addresses, that's fine. Just put a comma with no space and then type in the next email address. But in this case, I want to require the field, so that's what I'll do. And then what you could also do is delete any unnecessary fields. So for example, if the notes aren't important for you, just right click and delete the column. It's fully customizable, so feel free to customize this as needed. And then now that that's finished, I can begin scanning my barcodes. So you could either scan the barcodes that are already on your asset, maybe the VIN number or a serial number barcode, and then you can interact with those fields that you just added. So I have a sample VIN here, which I'll scan. So on the mobile app, the first thing I'll do is I'll tap on that refresh button, top left corner of the mobile app. And the reason why is so that the changes I just made, the ones that you just saw me make, for example, adding columns, adding triggers, so they're automatically applied and updated on the mobile app. So that's why I tapped on that refresh button up there. And then after I do that, I could tap on the scan button, scan the VIN number, and then I can update the fields. So oil change / done on today. Here's the color. The make, model, and year are automatically populated. I didn't have to do that. And the reason why is because the vehicles template is connected to an Orca Scan database. So if you scan a VIN number and we find that VIN number, we'll push back, we'll give you any information associated with that VIN number. So in this case, the make, model, and year is here, and that's why it's auto-populated. That lives under the integrations tab here. It's that link here that connects you to that database. So if you don't need it, just delete it and click save, but I'll leave it on for now. Anyways, I can continue with filling in those fields. As you can see, we have that location, that GPS, those GPS coordinates there. So I'll show you in a moment how that looks. And then what I'll do here for the condition is I'm going to select broken. And the reason why is so that photo field can pop up. So I'm going to tap save and close, and I won't be able to. Because remember, that photo field is required due to that trigger that I created a moment ago. So then I'll take a picture. And then I'll tap save and close. As soon as you tap save and close, that record is automatically on the cloud. To see it on the web app, you need to click refresh so that you can visually see it. So there it is. There's the photo, and there's all the information that I input. And then those are the GPS coordinates of where the barcode was scanned. So it's not a live location. Again, it's just a location of when the barcode was scanned. So this is where it was scanned at that point in time, for example. And then I'll go back to data here on the bottom left corner. And if you have a bunch of assets and you open up the map, you'll be able to see where the GPS coordinates are for each asset, which is pretty awesome. But you can see all of your information there. So for example, if you're a supervisor or a manager, you can see that someone brought in a 2007 Porsche and it's in excellent condition, and you can even see a photo, all from the luxury of your office. Okay, so far what we've done is we've customized our fields, we've added columns we need, we've deleted columns we don't need, and then we've even added triggers. And the triggers, what they're doing in this case is showing the photo field conditionally, only in certain circumstances, specifically when the condition is broken. And then after that, you can go around scanning barcodes. They'll automatically populate in here. And you can even see who made the scan and at what time. To see that, you can click on your history tab here. This is a historical record of all of your scans ever made. There is a limit depending on the plan you're on. The business plan is 1 year, but nonetheless, you'll be able to see that information here. So if I scroll over to the right, I can see the email of the person that made the change. And then I can see the date of when the scan was made. And that's on the history. If you want to see it on the main sheet, you can add columns for that. So if I right-click an existing column, so I can select add a column, I can name this last scanned on. The data type will be datetime automatic, which is a field that automatically puts the date and time there of when the barcode was scanned. So I'll select that one. I want it to run in the background, so I'll turn hidden in mobile on, and then I'll turn off show in mobile list. And the mobile list is the screen that you're looking at on the right-hand side, on the mobile app here. It's essentially the home screen of the mobile app. And right now, only these fields, oil change, last done on, make, model, and license plate, are showing on the mobile list. So I don't want the last scanned date and time to show there. I want to declare that view. So that's why I turned it off, that show in mobile list option. Okay, so I'll add that real quick, and then I'll add one more that says last modified by. And this is going to show the email address of the person that last made the change. So there's that data type. Again, this is running in the background. And then after that, I'll refresh the mobile app so the changes can be applied. And then there it is. That's ready to go. So if I scan that barcode again, here it is. And then I'll just tap save and close real quick so you can see that. Again, I'll click refresh so you can visually see the change on the web app. And there it is. There's the time that it was scanned at, and there's the email address of the person, all from the home screen here of the web app. And then if I don't like that date format, I can right-click the sheet tab on the bottom left corner and then select date time. And then select the format you like and select your time zone. So when you export your data, the time is correct. Perfect. So far, this is the workflow. And then all you need to do really after that is just scan your barcodes. If you don't have barcodes, you can import them or you can manually create them. So if you have an Excel file with your VIN numbers or serial numbers, anything of that sort, you can import it. So we'll use this file, for example. And the first thing that you need to do is remove all formatting. And then notice how I only have one tab here on this workbook. So if you look at the bottom left corner of Excel, you can see we only have one tab. So make sure to put your tab, so the principal tab that you want to import, at the very front, or just delete any other tabs on there that you don't need. And then after that, this is very important, after that, you need to rename your barcode column to barcode. So the VIN numbers are my barcodes, but the barcode column name is VIN numbers, which is accurate. But to import the file, I need to name the column barcode. And then you can delete any columns you don't need in Excel that you don't want to see in Orca Scan. And then just make sure the column names match in Excel and Orca Scan, just so the import can be smooth. Okay, and then after that, you can save the file and import it. If you don't have any barcodes, so maybe you have all of your asset names, but you don't have any barcodes, maybe your file looks like that, that's perfectly fine. You can import that as well. And after you do, we'll generate barcodes for you. Again, barcodes used for internal purposes only, but you could import your file like that or create random barcode values if that suits you, something like that. But in this case, we have the serial numbers. So we'll import that. The import button is located on the top left corner, and then you can select your file. You'll see two options under the action drop-down list: replace existing rows or add to existing rows. Replace existing rows will delete everything on your sheet, and then it'll upload the records that you have in Excel. So do be careful if you already have data on your sheet. And in this case, I'll select add to existing rows because I have a record on there that I need, so I want to keep that. After that, click import, and then that's it. All your barcodes are in there. So assuming that the barcodes you imported are actually the VIN numbers that are on your vehicles or the serial numbers that are actually on your golf carts, you can walk up to the barcode, scan it, and that record will come up. So for example, if I scan this one here, the record comes up. So in this case, it's a Ford F-150 Raptor. There it is, and then I can fill in the fields. And then I'll tap Save and Close. Again, I need to click refresh on the web app to visually see that update. And there it is. There's the date and time and the email of the person that made the change. And so all my records go in there. And that's how you import your barcodes. To manually create them, again, you could import a file with an empty barcode column, or you can just type in the value here. So I can say ABC 123. I can say that I want that as a barcode. Just type it in into the barcode column, into an empty cell. And then you can also just type in the make and model if you want. So I can say this is a Tesla Model 3, for example, a 2018. And then now what I could do, for example, is I could highlight those barcodes, open up the labels tab, and then print the barcodes or download them. After they're printed, you can peel it off if it's an adhesive label and just place it on the asset. And then you can scan the barcode and make the updates. So before you do that, what you could do is also customize it a little bit if needed. So if you want to use the QR code, which I highly recommend, because if 30% of the barcode is missing, maybe it's scratched, scuffed, torn a little bit. If 30% of the barcode is missing, of the QR code specifically, it's still scannable. So that's a QR code technology. That's why I highly recommend it. But if you did want to customize it a little bit more, maybe put a label underneath, you can click on those three dots there, select configure, and then under label, select the column that you want to display information underneath the barcode. In this case, I want to show the model of the vehicle. So I'll select that, click save, and there it is, Model Y. You can also create a new label. So maybe you want your company logo on there. And I won't dive too much into detail. It's pretty straightforward though. But on the right-hand side, you have fields. And so there's the VIN barcode. So you can drag that barcode on there. And then you can select the barcode type. So I'll select QR code. And then you can drag in your fields that you want to show on the barcode label that you print for each specific record. And Yeah, it's fully customizable. So feel free to play around with this and create a barcode that you like. And again, I won't dive too much into detail here, but on the top right corner, you can click on the Docs button, and then you can find our barcode label designer guide, and that goes much more into detail. But it is pretty straightforward. And then you can save your barcode label and then print it with your barcode on it. But that's how you create the barcodes. Just type in the value, import them. You can also right-click an empty cell at the very bottom of your sheet, and then select Add Rows. You can say how many you want with a prefix and a suffix, barcode length, create, and then they're going to be in your system, which you can then highlight and print. And then when you scan it, so for example, this one here, that record comes up. So there it is, Tesla Model 3. And then you can save and close, and those updates will be made like this. So now it says it's red, for example. And again, you can see when it was scanned. Okay, so on the right-hand side, you can see two tabs, local and cloud. The local tab is a list of all of the barcodes you've scanned on that particular device. So on this scanner, I've only scanned 3 barcodes. That's why you only see 3 records. If you tap on the cloud tab, you can see all of your records, so 12. And that's because I have 12 records on my sheet. So it shows you everything on your sheet. That's what the cloud tab does. And then local is just a list of everything you've scanned. It's kind of like a history tab, if you will, for the scanner. So when you scan a barcode, it doesn't matter what tab you're on, local or cloud. You can scan from any tab, make updates, save and close, and then the updates will be pushed to your sheet. Okay, so far I've showed you how to create columns, how to create triggers for certain conditions. And then I've showed you how to get your barcodes into the system. You could either scan them from the vehicle, or you could import them, or manually create them. And then after you have your barcodes, just scan them, make updates, and then all the records are pushed to the cloud here. And on the main sheet, you'll see the last update that you made, but in the history, you'll see all of the previous updates, all of your records. So for example, I could add a column named washed with a question mark. The data type would be true or false, which is a toggle like this. And then I'm going to turn on empty on scan, because this data type here automatically resorts to false or to off, right? Because it's a toggle like this, which you'll see in a moment. So I'm going to turn on empty on scan so that it always resorts to off every time I scan it. Empty on scan is on, so then I'll click add. And then I'm going to scan this barcode a few times. So I'll refresh the mobile app again so the changes can be updated. And then I'll scan this barcode. I'll say it is washed. I'll click save and close. That's updated on the web. And then I'll do it a couple more times. I'll say it's washed again, and see how it automatically defaults to off the washed field? That's because empty on scan is turned on under the column settings right there. Okay, so we'll say this is washed, save and close. It's reflected on the web app. And then one last time, I'll scan this, except this time I'll say it wasn't washed. So then I'll tap save and close. Again, the main sheet on the web app is going to show your last update. So it's saying it's not washed, but if I go on the history tab, I can see all of the records. So if you look at these bottom 3 rows here, you can see that it was washed these 2 different times. There are the date and times of when the scan happened. There's the user's name. In the real world, what you'd probably see is that it was washed the first week, it was washed the second week, but it wasn't washed the third week. And then you can see who made that change, so you can ask them questions directly if needed. And then you've also got photos, for example. Okay, so that's the history. You can download your records for a specific barcode or all of your records for all of your barcodes. You can also do that via the export button on the top left corner. Just make sure to include history. And that's how you manually do it. You can also use a live integration with Excel or Google Sheets. It's pretty straightforward to set up, and that's going to automate things for you. So you don't have to manually keep exporting your data. And we capture all of the raw data. We don't have pie graphs and visual charts yet. So you will need to use a live integration with Google Sheets, Excel, Power BI, for example, so you can automate that process and have those visual charts. And we also have APIs. So if you have another system that supports APIs as well, you can integrate Orca Scan with that platform. We have docs for that. So again, top right corner, you can look at our docs. So here are the integrations, for example. These are relatively straightforward to set up. And then we also have APIs here, which do require software engineering resources, but it allows you to send your data to pretty much any platform that supports APIs. And then other than that, the only last thing I want to talk about is users. So if you click on the users tab, you can type in your colleague's name, for example, your employee's name, email address, and then they'll automatically receive an email if they don't have an account with us. And we'll ask them to create a password. After that, they can download the mobile app and scan. Just how you've seen me scan so far on the right-hand side, that's exactly what they'll do. The workflow is fully customizable, so you can dictate what they'll see. And then you can also reach out to us. So on the top right corner here, there's a support button. So you can click on that and send us a message in case you get stuck with anything. And you can also schedule a call with us. So if you visit our website on the home screen, you can click book a demo, and whether it's a technical support call, anything of that sort, we've got you covered. So do use that if needed. We'd be happy to help. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any more questions, let us know. And until then, bye-bye.